Oh, you are taxing regular Americans and we are going to fight back. And Canada is your biggest market. Canada is a bigger market for US exporters than China, Japan, the UK and France combined for Americans like your business people, right? The customer is always right and your customer is really angry at you. The whole country is behind the retaliation the Prime Minister has announced. So now we are going to tax American exporters who are trying to sell us stuff. That means Americans are going to lose jobs. So this is really, it is self-mutilation. America is hurting itself. We think that it is utterly crazy. And we're also really, really angry at you. So, Madam Deputy Prime Minister, I was really struck when Prime Minister Trudeau spoke over the weekend. This sense of betrayal that he expressed that we have been there with the US, he was saying, I'm paraphrasing every step of the way, even in times of need. And now this is coming out of nowhere. Elaborate on that, please. And also just more specifically, just remind viewers just how closely linked these two nations are, particularly whether it's people or goods going back and forth across the border, sometimes multiple times a day. The Prime Minister has been great and I have to tell you, the whole country is rallying behind him. We all feel personally hurt, and that hurt is now becoming anger. You know, we pride ourselves on being a polite, nice country. But at the Raptors game last night, the American anthem was booed. At a Senators hockey game over the weekend, the American anthem was booed. Because we do feel like we are your friends, we're your neighbors, we are your allies, and you guys are really lucky to have us on your northern border. The fact that you have this safe, secure, friendly country on your northern border is foundational to American prosperity. And now you're slapping us in the face. I mean, the tariffs against Canada are higher than the tariffs imposed against China. What's going on here, guys? It's Oli Vitali. I have a question for you in regards to the way that these tariffs have been put on. The Trump administration is saying that it's because they want to stem the flow of fentanyl through borders as well as illegal immigration. But in your conversations and in the conversations that these governments are having, do you have a sense of what the Canadians would even have to say to get these tariffs removed and appease the administration? Well, thank you for the question, Ollie. And the fact is these tariffs are being imposed truly for utterly no reason. The pretext offered is the flimsiest pretext possible. Less than 1%, in fact, around 0.2% of the fentanyl that comes into the US comes through the Canadian border. If border security were the issue, this could be solved in 5 minutes. We want a secure border too. We would like to stop the illegal US guns that are smuggled into Canada and cause deaths on Canadian streets. And we are very happy to work together to not have asylum seekers cross in either direction. The President has also directly threatened our national sovereignty. He has said over the weekend that if we were to become the 51st state, there would be no tariffs. Canadians really, really, really are angry about that. And I do want to say we want to be your friend. We want to be your partner. We want to be your neighbor. We're good at that. We've done it for decades and decades. But we are proud of our country. We're really proud to be Canadian. Our sovereignty is not negotiable. And if you hit us, we are going to hit back, and the whole country is going to be proud to do that. Well, and Anne in Canada has been Mika. Canada has been our friends, our allies, our best trading partner. And again, as Chris just said, and so many Americans need to understand that the fact that the longest peaceful, contiguous border in the world is the northern border that starts at Maine and goes all the way over to Washington state. And the fact that we don't have to have troops on that border because Canada is such a good friend. Again, this is again for so many Canadians. Just shocking. So also a friend, Christia, who was on Morning Joe in the early days along with all of us sharing her political analysis. Yes. Educated steeply not on just Canadian values, but American values and the American Constitution. And so, to your question of what's going on here, guys, Christy, I ask you, imposing tariffs on a friendly border nation, what do you think is going on here? What's your assessment of what's happening here? You're the Americans, and I'm going to leave that up to you. But I do have a message for you, which is, we are a great ally and partner. There is an exit ramp here. There is a win-win here for all of our history as countries. We have been great, mutually beneficial partners and friends. Ronald Reagan famously said we're more than friends. We are kin. And he said that the Canada-US relationship is the best, the most mutually beneficial relationship between two countries in history. Ronald Reagan said that he was a smart guy. He was right. But what I will also say is, this isn't going to work. You know, this is a colossal act of self-mutilation where America is hurting itself. And please know that we think it is utter madness. We are not going to back down. We are really proud to be Canadian. We love our country so much. Canadians are rallying around this issue. We're going to stand up for ourselves. And, I used to say we do it more in sorrow than in anger, but we're moving away from the sorrow feeling towards really being angry about this because it's so unjustified and so pointless. And as the Wall Street Journal editorial page says, it is the dumbest trade war in history. Christia, let me ask you finally. I understand Canadians have all come together, and they're even coming together behind Prime Minister Trudeau, whose has been extraordinarily unpopular in the polls up to this point. I'm curious though, is there anything more he should be doing? Is there anything more that you would do in response if you were Prime Minister now in response to these tariffs? The whole country right now is united. Everyone is rallying behind this united national response. Our Prime Minister is our Prime Minister, and we are supporting him as he stands up for Canada. If I am chosen to be leader of the Liberal Party and become Prime Minister, I will continue that fight, and I will fight really, really hard for my country. Canadian Prime Minister candidate and former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, Chrystia Freeland, thank you very much. It's good to see you come back. I have a feeling this story isn't going away anytime soon. Thank you very much for being on this morning.